What if I told you that one cruel word could cost you everything? That a single moment of arrogance could destroy a fortune built over decades? This is the story of a billionaire who had it all: power, wealth, respect, but lost it all because he forgot the one thing money can't buy: humanity. By the end of this story, you'll realize how kindness can turn the tables in the most unexpected ways. If you believe that respect matters more than money, then take 1 second right now, like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories, because what you're about to hear will move your heart and remind you why compassion still wins in the end. The morning sun was sharp through the glass windows of the Grand Lotus Cafe, one of the most luxurious restaurants in downtown New York. Inside, every table gleamed with polished cutlery, and every guest spoke in hushed tones of power and influence. It was a place where billionaires casually discussed mergers while sipping coffee worth more than a week's groceries for most people. At the far end sat Richard Langford, the CEO of Langford Industries, a global tech empire valued at over $80 billion. Known for his ruthless ambition and razor-sharp mind, Richard was both feared and admired. Today was supposed to be one of the biggest days of his life, a final meeting to secure a $3.5 billion deal with the Whitmore Group, a European investment powerhouse. He had come early, immaculately dressed in his tailored navy suit, his diamond cufflinks catching the morning light. But behind those polished eyes hid a temper that could scorch anyone who dared stand in his way. And fate had decided to test that temper. A young waitress named Maya Thompson was working her shift that morning. She was 25, quiet but warm-hearted, working double shifts to pay for her younger brother's college. Her dream was simple: to one day open her own little bakery in Brooklyn, one filled with laughter and the smell of cinnamon rolls. But right now, she was just trying to survive another shift in a restaurant where the rich looked right through her. As she carried a tray of coffee cups toward Richard's table, her hands trembled slightly. Not because she was nervous, but because her shoes were old and slippery on the polished marble floor. And then, it happened. The cup tipped. A few drops of hot espresso splashed across Richard's sleeve, barely noticeable, but enough to stain the pristine white of his custom-made shirt. He looked up, his cold blue eyes narrowing like knives. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he snapped. I'm so sorry, sir." Maya stammered, reaching for napkins. "It was an accident, I didn't mean," Richard's voice cut through her apology like thunder. "Of course you didn't mean it. Because you're too stupid to handle a simple tray." The nearby guests turned. Silence spread like wildfire across the cafe. Maya froze. Her cheeks burned with humiliation as she whispered, "I'm sorry, sir." But Richard wasn't done. He wanted to make an example of her. "Do you have any idea who I am? That coffee probably costs more than what you make in a day. Go get your manager before I have you fired." Maya's eyes glistened. She turned away quietly, holding back tears. The manager rushed over, his face pale with fear. "Mr. Langford, please, we'll take care of it immediately," Richard waved his hand dismissively. "Just keep incompetence away from my table." But someone else had been watching. At the next table, an older man with silver hair and calm gray eyes had witnessed everything. His name was Thomas Whitmore, the billionaire chairman of the Whitmore Group. The same man Richard was supposed to impress that morning. 10 minutes later, when Maya returned to clean the table next to them, Thomas gestured toward her kindly. "Miss, may I have a cup of that same coffee, please?" Her voice wavered. "Why yes, sir. Of course." She brought the cup with careful hands. Thomas smiled and said softly, "Don't worry about earlier. Everyone makes mistakes. You handled it with grace." Those words were like a balm to her bruised spirit. She nodded silently, her eyes wet. But when she left, Richard chuckled under his breath. "You're far too forgiving, Thomas. People like her, they'll never learn unless you're firm." Thomas turned to him slowly. "People like her?" Richard shrugged, smirking. You know what I mean. The staff, the uneducated ones. They're replaceable. A long pause followed. The cafe seemed to grow quieter. Then Thomas placed his napkin down and looked Richard dead in the eye. Richard, tell me, what do you think makes a good leader? Richard leaned back confidently. Control. Authority. Knowing your worth and making others respect it. Thomas sighed. I see. He stood up calmly, buttoning his coat. Then I suppose our deal ends here. Richard blinked, confused. What are you talking about? We haven't even started the final terms. Thomas's voice was steady but cold. I've already seen enough. If this is how you treat someone with less power, I can't trust you with more. The color drained from Richard's face. Thomas, wait. Don't let a misunderstanding, but Thomas was already walking toward the door. Before leaving, he turned back and said, You just lost $3.5 billion, Richard. Not because of an accident, but because of arrogance. Every eye in the cafe followed Thomas as he walked out. Maya stood frozen, tray in hand, realizing what had just happened. That night, the news broke. Langford Industries loses major investor after public altercation at upscale cafe. Within hours, the company's stock plummeted. Reporters swarmed. Shareholders panicked. Richard's phone buzzed non-stop, but he ignored it. For the first time, his empire was shaking, not from competition, but from his own pride. He sat alone in his penthouse, replaying the scene in his head. Maya's face, terrified. Thomas's calm disappointment. The sound of laughter dying in the cafe. He had built his fortune on discipline and control, yet a moment of cruelty had undone it all. By morning, Richard decided to return to the Grand Lotus Cafe, not for coffee, but for closure. When he walked in, people whispered. Cameras had captured part of the incident, and the world wasn't kind to arrogance anymore. He spotted Maya cleaning a table at the far end. She looked up, startled, but didn't move. Richard approached her slowly. Miss Thompson, he said quietly. I came to apologize. Maya blinked, unsure if she'd heard correctly. I was cruel, he admitted. You didn't deserve that. I lost something big that day, but I think what I really lost long ago was respect for people. And that's worse. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Maya gave a small, understanding smile. Everyone makes mistakes, sir. What matters is what we learn from them. Richard nodded. I suppose I'm still learning. He placed a check on the counter, made out to Maya's bakery fund. It's not pity, he said softly. It's gratitude, for reminding me what real strength looks like. Tears welled in Maya's eyes. Thank you, Mr. Langford. That's too much. Not compared to what your kindness just taught me. A year later, a small bakery opened on a quiet Brooklyn corner. Its windows were filled with golden pastries, laughter, and the scent of cinnamon and hope. Above the door, the sign read, Maya's Grace. Inside, a framed article hung on the wall, From Waitress to Bakery Owner, How One Woman's Kindness Inspired Redemption. And beneath it, a quote, Respect costs nothing, but it's worth more than gold. On opening day, a quiet man in a simple gray suit walked in, holding a bouquet of flowers. Maya smiled warmly. Mr. Langford, she said, recognizing him. You came. I wouldn't miss it, he replied softly. Your place looks beautiful. She handed him a warm pastry. On the house. He chuckled. I think I've taken enough from you already. They both laughed, a sound full of peace and forgiveness. Outside, the sign glimmered under the afternoon sun, and those who passed by could feel something unspoken, proof that no matter how far we fall, kindness can still lift us higher. Billionaire CEO calls black waitress stupid, and lost $3.5 deal on the spot. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories, because every time you do, you help us share real tales that remind the world that respect and empathy are the true signs of greatness. Remember, money can buy a table in any restaurant, but kindness earns you a seat at humanity's table forever.